Welcome everyone to the Bleezy Show. Your boy Bleezy back here again, ready to take over the world one step at a time, one stream at a time, whatever it takes. One character in WoW at a time, whatever it takes to get to the top. We're going to do it, okay? Today, we're going to take a look at this very fresh MadSeason TV video talking about the history of World of Warcraft private servers. Now, everyone's been paying attention. If you've been watching me on stream, everyone's paying attention to the whole Ascension drama. Ascension put out these new servers. They've been around for a while, okay? But these new servers, Conquest of Azeroth, are just insanely good, okay? Everything you could imagine or want out of Classic Plus. And I'll just quickly say, there's no way everyone's going to be happy with all the changes, whether it's in Classic Plus from Blizzard, in Conquest of Azeroth from Ascension. There's no way to make everybody happy. It's just not going to happen. So we kind of have to see, what is Blizzard going to decide on what they want to do with Classic Plus? Now, I'm going to watch this video. MadSeason, if you don't already follow, if you don't sub to MadSeason, go watch him. Go sub to his channel. He's always putting out WoW content, super up-to-date on his information. He seems to be pretty accurate a lot of the time. And that's a big issue with a lot of the Classic Plus news we've seen. We've covered a little bit on my channel as well. It's, you know, we're kind of going through data mine stuff. We're seeing placeholder names. So we're kind of having to fill in the blanks ourselves. Let's see if MadSeason can kind of wrap this together. This might just be purely about the history of private servers and not even about Classic Plus. But I guarantee Blizzard will do what they do best, which is take assets from other people, just like Ascension, okay? Just like they're taking Ascension to court for. Blizzard will also, hopefully, take what has worked in these servers, maybe put it into Classic Plus, change it around just a little bit, you know, so they legally, can. And I think it'll be, well, I have high hopes for Classic Plus. I know that I'm in the minority when it comes to a lot of the things that I'm wanting. I see a lot of comments on the YouTube videos saying they want no changes. They just want to play Era with maybe a few new quests. That's not what I want. Okay, maybe I'm younger, maybe you guys are just too old, but I want changes. I don't want to play retail. I don't even want to play Cataclysm speed. I want Classic in the feel of maybe Wrath, TBC, Classic. I really want the Classic vanilla feel, but just with upgrades. Because I'm sick of going through Elwyn Forest as a Warlock. I'm sick of going through, running up to Ironforge as a little gnome mage. I don't even play that too often. I'm just saying, I don't want to play a warrior again. I don't want to play a warlock again and do the exact same things. Would I play like the class? I mean, okay, I just want the experience to be different. Like, we can go play Classic Era right now. You can go play Vanilla right now. And, let's just see. Either way, I'm new to Project Ascension. I'm new to private servers. I've absolutely loved my time. It's not perfect, but it's way better than anything Blizzard has given me in 10 to 15 years, okay? Like, it has been, I can't remember a time Blizzard has given me something that much fun. Have I had fun in retail? Yes, okay, there's been plenty of good times, yada yada. But I want something fresh, I want something new. Let's see if we can at least, if nothing else, educate ourselves on what private servers have actually come up with these much smaller teams with much less money to work with than a giant Blizzard, Microsoft type company. Let's see. And if nothing else, I'll be able to catch up with all this lore that I've missed over the years. Because like I said, I missed Turtle WoW. I was always the person who'd probably, just like you, never wanted to play private servers. Okay? That has been blown out with Ascension for me. Like that, my eyes were opened when I stepped into Goldshire. You could see Goldshire, the new Goldshire, from a mile away. I mean, it was just crazy. And I almost teared up when I saw it. It was so wild. I was like, this is what we've been wanting for years. And then you see people like Ian, Ian Haska, whatever his stupid name is, okay, coming on an interview saying, oh, we had no idea people would want to revisit old zones. Sorry, I'm getting worked up. He's saying, like, we had no idea they love that classic feel. Bruh. Like, the most disrespectful thing he could have said was he didn't understand that. As if he didn't just see the numbers, the TBC rating numbers, even the logs online, are going up. It's crazy.
Game in history.
Let's see what MadSeason TV show has to say about
Its
this.
antics have been witnessed by millions, with many always keeping a close eye on them, waiting to see what they do next.
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
Yes.
Massively multiplayer online role-playing games have been around for years now, but it's taken this long.
Why is it in such
for
low
the
quality?
genre's breakthrough hit to finally
Guess that's just
emerge.
classic WoW.
But World of Warcraft is indeed that game.
And see, that's hype. Okay, I started in Cataclysm. I missed classic vanilla when it first came out. I missed TBC when it first came out. I missed Wrath when it first came out. That's what everyone seems to agree was like one of the highest. It was the highest sub count in Blizzard's history, or WoW's history, as far as I'm aware. And everyone's saying like, "Oh, you missed it, you missed it." Well, I still got to play it when they re-released the servers. Okay, I still raided. I did all that. It was fun. I have 370s and TBC anniversary servers. Like they're re-release. Okay, I played SOD. Obviously, I have retail. I even played Midnight. You know. I want something new.
No, and by the way, you don't want to do that either.
Oh my god, what a moron! These are guys that are. Some of these people are still in. Here's Ian's ass face right here. These ugly ass nerds coming from me.
You think you do, but you don't.
By the way, this is his quality. I'm not the one turning down the video quality here. You think you do, but you don't. That was obviously a famous, infamous line in WoW history, but those devs are just stupid. Like, I hate to tell you, but you think you do. You think we don't, but we do. Like, you're just so stupid.
I personally had a private investigator hired to track me down by a legal firm that represents Blizzard. The amount of pressure that Blizzard put on the Nostari's team was immense.
Past week or so, I've been investigating with people what's going on at Elysium because there's been some fishy, shady shit. And all week I've been called a drama llama. You know, I need to get out of my mom's basement and get a wife.
Turtle Wow.
So it seems like you can kind of see where this is going. The private servers and even Ascension have all met the same fate. Ascension seems to be heading down the same road too, where at the end of the day, there's intellectual property laws in the US. There's always legal loopholes everywhere, but they seem to have put themselves in a bad corner because I think some of the main owners of the Ascension project are actually US based. So they can't even like escape jurisdiction, you know, with no jurisdiction arguments. They can't escape this lawsuit that has happened. Okay, and that is in the works as we speak. Currently, there is no like newest update, and it's in the beginning process. The whole court process in America can take a long time, especially business stuff. We'll see. I mean, it's fair to say, if you feel like you're living on borrowed time with Project Ascension, you're not too far off. You know, I would say you should go ahead and expect. I'm not going to tell you what to expect. I would just say have as much fun as you can every single day that you play the game. Right? You never know.
WoW. The most popular WoW private server is officially shutting down due to the lawsuit from Blizzard.
What made them this way? What is the
I've got something to tell all the people who've been raising all the effing drama around the project. I am done with your hypocrisy. You want transparency? You're going to get it. Oh my goodness. Elysium hasn't sold a single coin. Okay, so
traction?
What's been happening in the past to these servers, I guess, is they've been taken to court and they can't afford it. Blizzard just kind of gets an automatic win. With Ascension, we'll have to see.
Keeps us fascinated.
Let's see what this said. Sorry, this is from Blizzard CS. Sorry for the confusion, ally. Basically, you shouldn't need to worry about a false report, as any action that is taken is only done so after an investigation. If no violation is found, nothing happens and the report is dismissed.
What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of the World of Warcraft private server community.
His voice is so monotone. I like it. A comprehensive history. Wow. Oh, let's see. Let's catch ourselves up on it because we missed all this. Go check out MadSeason. He's got tons of videos all the time.
The development and history of World of Warcraft is something that's been analyzed and archived many times, and it really speaks for itself. One of the most legendary games of all time. When it hit store shelves in 2004, it swept the world, and it served as many people's first interaction with social media.
Yeah,
However,
okay.
in its wake was a community that was so impactful that it would eventually help steer the development of the game. And yet, despite this, it's received far less of the spotlight, and the direction it helped steer to was the past. The private server community of World of Warcraft is as old as World of Warcraft is itself, and much like Blizzard's giant, it's a story.
We have enough money to handle our servers, and for all of you selfish MFers, just hope that you never need help and nobody is willing to give it to you. Who is this? Tons of bans coming in right now. This looks like some kind of forums for a private server, right? You guys are simply pathetic. Silent will be making a post to explain the eye touches and treadmill as I got them for him since his PayPal account was banned. Two things here. I had my PayPal account 3 years ago, and I had my eBay account 3 years ago. I had both of them before Escape was even thought of. Escape. I don't know what any of this is. You have one PayPal account is attached to, I can't read the end of this, but to the people who care about what happened with Eligio, I will post up the receipts from the funeral home, and I'll happily send you the newspaper article about it. Something to those of you, we have enough money to handle our servers, and for all of you selfish, and just hope you never need help and nobody's willing to give it to you. Word of advice, wait to hear both sides of stories before you jump on a drama bandwagon. In the end, you screw things up for yourself by being gullible. I just read all of that and I have no idea what he's talking about.
Filled with high highs, low lows, dramatic spectacles, and otherwise interesting moments.
Okay,
So
I'd
good.
rather have some forum discussion and arguments over it. I don't know if that was a person dead. Obviously rest in peace, even if it was 20 years ago. But whether they were talking about like a pet or like an animal, a funeral home, so it's probably a real human. So okay, I'd rather have some drama like that, some people being disrespectful. You can go to Ascension chat right now and get into some arguments with people. I'd rather have that than like illegal drama, you know?
Me today as we take a trip into the relatively unknown world of World of Warcraft private servers.
Let's see. Let's catch ourselves up on the lore.
Just hang on a second, though. I'm just finishing up a dungeon run here. Oh my god, no way. It's a signature epic quality. And not test work
Yeah, we'll skip
begins
that.
on what would become
Go check
one
out
of the most
MadSeason.
influential
Go sub to his
games of
channel.
all time, as was the case with all MMOs before and after. The development was rife with hurdles and obstacles to overcome, and they were large enough that a veritable army.
Just
of
be ready.
testers
All
were
this video
required
is going to be
help
low
shape the
quality,
game
it seems,
to
because it's
finished
all from
state
2006.
Before it saw public release. It would officially enter its internal alpha testing in the spring of 2003, and although Blizzard had plans to eventually open testing to the public, the floodgates were first opened just a crack for two reasons. For one, they didn't want to bite off more than they
That's
could chew,
new.
and for two,
Or, you know,
they had
old,
to
but
fear that their hard work
it doesn't
would
look
be
like that now.
maliciously shared to outside parties. As it turned out, their fears were not unfounded, as they were realized shortly after testing began. Many today are surprised to learn that the private server community existed during a time.
WoW enjoyer, I would think. But all of this, you know, still rings home to me. I love Northrend. I even like Outland, but TBC, you know, it's issues. I don't like TBC as much as most people do. I'll just leave it at that.
Back to a person known as Skull, who through some social engineering
Who is
was
that?
able to obtain the alpha client either from an internal alpha tester or even a Blizzard employee. With the birth of the World of Warcraft private server community on the horizon, the following message was posted around gaming forums across the web. Open source proponents, crackers, and anarchists alike rejoice, as an alpha version of World of Warcraft has allegedly been secured and is now supposedly making its way around Wares circles. This
What
news
is
comes from
Wares?
Skull's hack site, who says that Warforge, infamous for their work in Battle.net emulation for War 3 and TFT betas, is already working on server software for the WoW leak. Availability for those outside of cracking groups is limited at best, and the situation has just now grown past rumor, but details and screenshots can be found here and here if you wish to judge it for yourself. And so,
What a serious message, though, because you can tell those are people who I would assume have some programming knowledge, especially back then before AI could do everything for you. So to post that on a bunch of different forums, that was probably someone who was connected with them, right? Who was just saying, allegedly, maybe someone out there has this. You might want to check here and here if you don't believe me.
Floodgates were opened.
We're working on it.
Blizzard was pissed.
I bet.
They posted the following in response. As many of you know, we are currently conducting an internal alpha test for World of Warcraft. Our goal for this alpha test is to provide the best possible experience for players when the beta launches in early 2004. In order to accelerate the testing process, we recently allowed a small group of external testers to play the game, and during this process, a collection of files was leaked to the internet.
How did you let that happen?
Alpha content from the game.
I mean,
They're not
okay,
fully
good,
playable, and therefore do not convey the experience that World of Warcraft will provide when it is released. We are currently investigating this matter, and we will take serious action against those involved. As always, we appreciate the interest and enthusiasm that players around
serious
the world have for
action.
World of Warcraft, and we look forward to delivering a massively multiplayer game unlike any you have ever experienced.
I'm
Until
sure.
then, we ask that you refrain from sharing any content.
And then we can't wait to just flood it with stuff that you guys actively say you don't want, and like the majority of people don't want. But hey, a few people will say that's fine, we'll play it even if you give it to us and we don't want it. And then that's enough because they make enough money, right? Oh my god.
That doesn't come directly from Blizzard Entertainment. Once it was released, Pandora's box was opened, with private servers now emerging alongside Blizzard's giant. It would slowly grow into this increasingly influential force on the development.
So there was literally private servers as soon as vanilla, like even before vanilla was completely done.
Of World of Warcraft moving forward. A person named Lax began reverse engineering the game with nothing more than a couple of packet logs.
One, that's extremely impressive. Two, what is this? Is this like the original Goldshire? Because, dude, I'd rather have this than what they got in there. What they got in there right now. Like, what the heck?
And he and another person named Cold Ice created the Stormwind Sandbox, which set the stage for all future emulation projects. And, as a result, the first World of Warcraft private server predated the release of World of Warcraft itself.
No shot. What? That is crazy. Yeah, you best believe Blizzard's pissed. Now they're gonna be in an eternal war with these people. They literally put the game out they were making and spent so much money on before Blizzard could put it out.
These people became something of celebrities and grandfathers of emulation, in particular Lax, whose legacy was archived through the form of cringe online poetry. Once upon a time, there was Lax.
Oh god.
The father of World of Warcraft emulation. He said, let there be code. And then it was created. The World of...
As a data scientist, I mean, it's funny. You get in these moods, but I don't think I'd ever publish something like this to the public world.
2 years have passed since the mortal race has banded together to emulate World of Warcraft. But the alliances have been broken, and drums of flaming thunders once again. But regardless of all of this, November 2004 eventually came, and along with it, one of the most iconic games of all time.
Yeah.
It would quickly turn the MMORPG genre from niche to mainstream. It coincided with the rise of social media, as millions soon joined the addiction sweeping across the world. Behind the scenes, the private server community was still developing.
But if I recall, there was a lot of people who kind of used WoW as like their social media at the beginning. Again, okay, I started in Cataclysm. Alright, so I missed Vanilla, I missed this drama, TVC original, Wrath original. I missed it, but I'm pretty sure, at least what I've heard from streamers like Asmongold, Payo, people have been around a long time, they used to use it as like a social media. Like I think Facebook was coming up around here, or probably MySpace.
As they had started working on spells.
But it was even easier to talk to people in game.
While World of Warcraft was reaching millions of paid subscribers, these private servers...
Let me read that. What does that say?
World of Warcraft
hits 9 million subs. 2007? So that would be TBC or something? Is that still vanilla or 2006? Every few months, Blizzard releases the latest sub numbers. Wow, and it just boggles my mind. Dun, 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 dun. Let me see if I can see like a... No, Burning Crusade, yeah. The company is currently working with its partner for World of Warcraft in China, the Nine, to prepare the game's first expansion. World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade. For launch in mainland China.
Warcraft was reaching
Interesting.
millions of paid subscribers. These private servers were quite humble in comparison, reaching just a couple hundred of free players, which was still quite impressive, all things considered.
Yeah, that's
Working
gross.
off of the base of the Stormwind sandbox, the first emulator that was considered to be serious was called Stormcraft, which was soon followed by many others. There was Rift,
Team
Future
Python.
WoW, Team Python, Chaos, Vibe, WoW Daemon. Their lifespans were short.
I
as
bet.
At this stage, they were hardly playable. They often didn't have mobs. They had game-breaking issues that Blizzard had fixed months ago. To call them playable was quite a generous use of the word, and at this stage they often wouldn't really attract players as much as they would attract other independent developers wanting to evolve the community and iterate off of each other.
Well, I mean, it does cost a lot of money not only to like pay your devs, but people are constantly needing to fix bugs, change things, improve the game, expand the game. All of that costs money.
And so, because of this,
Or at least
they
time.
would either fail to
And no one's
attract
gonna give their
enough
time for
players
free.
to make it worth continuing,
Unless you're a Twitch
or they
streamer.
would become popular enough to be subsequently shut down by Blizzard. Eventually, things would fizzle out with Stormcraft as team members slowly lost interest, making way for new servers that slowly built off of each other. Rift would add chat functionality to the game. Team Python added items, vendors, mounts, flight paths, abilities, and more. Next was Chaos, which created the infrastructure with which to log in. They also added mobs, and they were quite effective in evolving private servers until they were shut down by Blizzard. Blizzard in these early years were extremely
88
active in
million.
mounting and shutting down these private servers.
Blizzard sue WoW private host for $88 million. Escape Gaming, a private server company that wrote its own software to host a private version, and we're seeing clips of those versions. This is not worth $88 million, has been ordered to cough up. I wonder how they got away with not paying that, because
But
they
with
just
each
can't,
group
right?
building off of each other and sharing their code and methods, it would slowly but surely and inevitably grow into a more and more playable state. However, although there were instances of these communities and teams working together, infighting and egotism would also be common due to the limited player base. Competition between these servers was intense. An emulator called WoWEmu rose from the ashes of a recent shutdown of WoW Daemon, and as they worked privately on reverse engineering the game, a group called Blizz Hackers would crack their code and release it publicly, which eventually led to WoWEmu stopping entirely out of protest.
What? See, there's so much drama. Never heard about any of this stuff. I didn't realize the history was so deep.
Themselves would also be tracked down by Blizzard's legal team and similarly disbanded. So it was essentially a free-for-all PvP server, and these early years were quite chaotic as the spectacle around the game only grew. While this was going on, vanilla World of Warcraft was thriving, and all the while moving forward. And on October 28th,
Back then, though, like, I would not... there's no point to play those private servers back then unless you were just a tech geek and you are just pushing your limits and trying to just create something new. You think you can do it better, maybe. But the whole time, you got NACs going on. You got MC groups forming. The real WoW was so good back then, there wasn't as much of a need for private servers. Like, I feel like the demand for private servers has gone up substantially over the years. With more and more days that go by before Blizzard changes everything we hate about retail. I mean, they're even starting to put like retail settings and stuff in Classic as we speak. Now, some of them, okay, sure, but I don't like edit mode in Classic. That feels weird. That feels wrong. Add like a new Classic styled Move Any type of add-on to it. Take Move Any and like integrate it, make it style to
The first
Classic.
expansion for the game, The Burning Crusade, was announced, promising new content such as zones, dungeons, raids, arena, new races, and
Look at that
much
guy.
more.
He's so
The
happy.
game coasted along until the day of release eventually came on January 16th, 2007, and it was met with great success and acclaim as the expansion today's look back on fondly. But with it came an end to something quite special, as it was at this point is
When TBC came out, you are essentially getting 2 new races, and each faction, it's getting that class that they didn't have. Like Horde can get a paladin now with Blood Elf, and then Alliance could get what was it? A shaman with Drawn Eye. That was like, that's good enough to say that's new classes. They put out not only new races but new classes, whole new zones. I bet some of the mobs changed, and like throughout the zones, some of the quests probably changed. Not as much as in Cataclysm. Cataclysm was the last time I feel like they really like redid the world. Okay, maybe in Mob.
The base version of the game became known as Vanilla World of Warcraft.
That's so many years ago.
Not only for Blizzard, but also for private servers, as there was now officially a void that would grow ever so slightly over the years of this demand of Vanilla World of Warcraft not being met. Just like Blizzard, private servers would continue their development, and they slowly started to become more and more advanced. Although the scripting was entirely inaccurate, the loot tables were inaccurate. At this point, they actually had mobs, and major bugs and exploits were finally being addressed as the servers had started to approach a relatively playable state.
3,000, if you can see down there, it said 3,700 players online.
In the form of what was
so it probably had what, 10 to 20k,
server,
30k total players,
which interestingly wasn't based off of vanilla, but instead in the new expansion, the Burning Crusade. Under the umbrella of Scape Gaming, they had reached a staggering amount of players, with records indicating over 30,000 in a single day.
Yeah, I was going to say, you never have more than like 10% online. That might sound very low, but think about how many players like make a character, just don't like the game, or don't like the, they just quit for whatever reason, or they play a bit and then they quit. Like most people, I wouldn't say most, but I wonder what percentage of WoW players, even during this time frame and beyond, what percentage actually raid in total. We don't really know nowadays because we can kind of guess, but Blizzard has stopped putting out their sub numbers. There's logs online, so we can see like if you have completed a raid and someone logged it. TBC as at like 150k, and it was going up for quite a while. I don't know if it still is, but to see it go up post-release, that's very good. I wonder back then if the stats were any like different.
By June of 2008, over
the Ascension servers are on the Wrath patch, like 3. You might talk about this. They're on like 3.3.7 or 3.3.5. I don't remember, but apparently it's like the best patch for this type of stuff. You might talk about this.
1,000 accounts created within the community. You might be asking where these numbers came from. Well, it was popular and lucrative enough that it was the first server that Blizzard actually engaged a lawsuit in 2008 to get it shut down.
88 million.
Its popularity wasn't the only thing that made it an appealing target for litigation, as it also happened to be a multi-million-dollar business, with its owner raking in millions of dollars over its short 2-year lifespan. While Scape was monetized,
well, I mean, they deserve to make something.
Blizzard monetizes their own game today, selling pretty much anything and everything that exists in the game, whether that.
Oh, well, okay, never mind. Screw these guys. If they're just straight up like selling items, okay, I don't even think retail WoW. I probably shouldn't give Blizzard ideas, but you can't buy like power items, but you buy the WoW token that you then buy the power items off the AH with. So I mean, it's the same thing. Literally the same thing.
Levels, characters, and even items that didn't exist. They would make custom-made item sets available for purchase for hundreds of dollars. They tried to legally circumvent this by labeling the purchases as donations to keep the servers running, and if you would make a purchase, a GM would teleport you to a private room, confirm the transaction, and then insert the items into your inventory. The server would mimic Blizzard's updates.
That's sketchy.
In the following months, with
apparently back in the day, in these old times, the GMs were actually active and they played the game in normal WoW. So even not just private servers. Like if you were cursed, Asmund told this story one time where he got transported, or someone he knew got like transported to like the Stormwind stockades, and he got like trapped. He got his Hearthstone taken from him. I think he was saying slurs or whatever, and they took him to jail. Like in game, they left his character there.
Enthusiastically reminding community members to donate at the end of every update post made on the forum. This would go on for years until finally the chickens came home to roost in 2009, where Blizzard, after a lawsuit, was awarded 88.
If you're not familiar, they work emulating the Blizzard servers and working with altered clients. Okay, it's also copyright infringement and pretty expensive at that. Escape Gaming apparently put in some microtransaction framework. That still made up just over 3 million. It leaves 85 million in damages from copyright.
$8 million in damages, as well as the server being
I wonder
forced
how
to
that
shut down.
turned
as
out.
dramatic as it was, it also sent up a flare within the community, and it raised a lot of eyebrows, as for many, the motivation for running these servers had started to become monetary in nature, which only further increased tensions within these communities. As
Do you guys think Blizzard was doing it for free back then? Like, okay.
players were no
How
longer
lost are you?
guests. They were commodities at this point, with more at stake. DDoSing and other forms of sabotage, which were already present, accelerated as server runners would see lucrative potential in providing a server for Blizzard refugees. Even decades later, things would continue like this until another critical moment. On August 21st, 2009, Blizzard would announce the third expansion for the game, the Cataclysm. After much anticipation, the leader of the Black Dragon Flight, Deathwing, was back, and
This is when I started.
shaped the world itself.
It was a trailer I saw in my grandmother's basement. Her little old TV. Nasty old TV, antennas you'd have to hit. I feel old, okay? I'm not. I'm 29. I feel like I'm super old. But I was very young. I was maybe like 10 or 11 years old then, and then I got it shortly after, and I started playing Cataclysm. I got into Tolbarad, all that good stuff when I was maybe 12-ish years old. It was so much fun, but it was a trailer I saw. I think it was the one where Deathwing's flying over Orgrimmar and flying over the Barrens, as I know it now, burning everything. And then I saw online, I think, somehow, like I looked it up, I was trying to just figure out more about the game. I saw that classic trailer with the warlock, and he's like an undead warlock, and he's got his little thing, I don't know what he's swinging around. You don't do that in the game, but he's got like a little medallion, and he raises it, and this giant infernal is behind him. There's so much flame, but ooh, it felt so good. It still feels so good to see that. And then I was like, okay, this is my game. I want to play it.
Zones would be renovated.
The rest was
classes would
history.
be homogenized even further, as would loot. Many RPG elements core to the old versions of the game were removed. From top to bottom, Azeroth, as players know it, was getting a complete makeover. It was also at this point in all of its history that they had reached their peak in subscriptions, an astonishing 12 million. But as it would soon turn out, shortly after, for the first time since its release in 2004,
Wow, look at that.
they had started to lose subscribers.
Look at this. It went down. Blizzard reports the lowest sub figures for the game since December of 2008. Wow. That was a conference called Return to Pre-Cataclysm Levels in the West.
For the first time since its release in 2004, they had started to lose subscribers, and it wasn't really due to another big MMO entering the scene and taking players away. Rather, it just seemed that players had simply begun to lose interest.
But there was other MMOs around this
Blizzard
time,
proved to be
right? I don't know when Final Fantasy 14, that must have been way later, right? But like Blade and Soul was around not long after this, and Blade and Soul had a little period where it was really good. Who remembers that? SWTOR, Star Wars The Old Republic, was never like a WoW killer, but I had many, many hours in that game. There were other ones that were trying.
a pivotal moment, not just for Blizzard, but also, of course, for private server communities as well, because it was at this point is where the distance between the current version of the game and its vanilla origins took a tremendous leap. Old Azeroth at this point and many of its supporting RPG features were now lost forever, and there were now many who yearned to relive the old vanilla version of the game.
Of course.
In the only place that still offered it, private servers, which had started to see a surge in popularity. A few servers emerged as the frontrunners, such as...
You know these guys have some serious cojones in those pants when they see someone getting sued for $88 million, $85 million, whatever it was, and they're still willing to risk it. WoW players, myself included, we have issues, man. We have issues. Something's wrong with us.
In 2009 and Phoenix in 2010. Although the servers had come a long way from their origins, they still had a host of issues in its scripting, mob pathing, loot tables, damage values. Dungeon events were missing, and There were many quests that required GM intervention to complete, as the scripting of the game just wasn't quite there yet. Beyond game issues, cheating was rampant, hackers were abundant, as were bots, as well as obvious corruption.
What in the world was that?
Generate items for players in
Essentially, the influx of wealthy Chinese players, aka gold farmer. Okay, I'm sure they're not all gold farmers. Made the admins so much money that they could pretty well retire along with their FT job income. Chinese players farmed gold items, sold it, used the money from the gold to buy gear beyond what they currently handle. I'm talking in the hundreds of thousands from purchase gear. Thunder Fury went for 3K. And gold, all on a server that costs $150 a month. That's back then money. That's probably like $1,000, like $500-$600 a month now. Like, what in the world? Of course, it's not just the Asian population. For the huge amount of time the server was up, there was many paid boosts under the table gear, gifting. Donations in excess of 3,000 to gear a guild for server first.
Exchange for real life money.
For $100, they'd even let you have a racist or homophobic name, unpunished. What?
Like while state before it, but instead behind closed doors. And beyond this, there are also cases where they would ban people, not because they really broke any of the rules, but because they simply didn't like them. But they still offered something that Blizzard wasn't at the time. Vanilla World of Warcraft, and as retail would continue in a direction further away from the 2004 hit, these private servers would only grow in popularity. With
Monster WoW, Cataclysm 406A, World of the Gods 335A. Is that like the patch or something? This cat would be 4.06, 3.3.5. Never Endless, dedicated to excellence. Last WoW 243 TBC.
Phoenix in particular, many people know as one of the major servers of the era, launching shortly after Cataclysm's release, and serving players for over a decade, and kind of broke new ground in terms of population. This was many people's
disgusting
first
UI, by
experience
the
with
way.
Private servers for the game, and like with previous servers, it did suffer from its share of controversies, as administrators were often credibly accused of selling in-game items and gold to individual players. Regardless, it was clear. Despite the fact that these private servers weren't effectively advertised en masse, and despite the major issues with glitches, bugs, corruption, and infighting, people were still finding them and playing them.
This is gonna be us on Ascension. They're probably walking out to say goodbye.
Third-party websites in order to
They
play
better throw a party.
versions of the game.
I swear to God.
And for vanilla in particular, there's just something about it that was just magnetic and timeless. This is where private servers would transform from an annoyance to Blizzard.
Look, if Ascension crashed tomorrow, I can tell you right now, I've had more fun on a level 32 Blood Mage than any experience, any patch, any raid, any dungeon, any PvP, any PvE, any open world content that I've ever had from Blizzard. Period. Now, if I would have played Vanilla in 2004, TBC in 2006, Wrath in 2008, if I have the years wrong by whatever, okay, I don't care, okay, if I would have played back then, maybe, but back then, you know, look at these graphics, look at these UIs, look at this, they had plenty of bugs too, they had technical limitations. No, I've already had more fun on Ascension than I've pretty much ever had, and I don't hate WoW, I don't hate, you know, I'm just not a fan of retail. I think it's gone the wrong direction for many years now. Like, they're just digging a hole. I don't know. Like, it's not fun. It's not, that's the whole point, though, is it's not fun, right? I'm not having fun playing the game. I have a 285 in Midnight. I tried it. I have 6 or 7 level 80s or whatever in Midnight, okay? It's not it. It's not fun. There's nothing to keep me going. People have their best in slot trinkets and weapons the second week because they got lucky in the vault. And then you get into the dungeon with them, and you're like, you better pray to God and say a thank you, because you would have never gotten that trinket otherwise. Or you would have never gotten that raid weapon otherwise, my God.
To being influences on the
That's just not it, man. That's just not it.
Although these private servers
and then I don't get invited to the group, or someone such as myself who could do it in greens, okay? In retail especially now. I could probably raid in greens, all right?
technically
since
playable
we didn't get a lucky
experience,
drop, we
there
don't get to
still those
play.
who are unhappy with their quality.
Same in TBC, by the way.
or They were unwilling to go to a third party.
Without the
and
vault.
So the only
What I mean by that is like, okay, hop on TBC right now. I have 370s. If I sit there all day, I'll find a raid. Okay, I'll be able to get into a Karazhan. But you have to sit there all day. And there's people that are going to be like, well, why is your gear so bad? Show me your logs. It's like, dude, show me your logs. Duel me right now. In fact, let me hop on a character. I'll duel you on the class you're on, and I'll beat you. You know, and I still won't get invited.
The option left was to campaign Blizzard. They thought, if these servers can be run independently by all of these random groups, why can't Blizzard make them? Clearly there's a demand for them, and so around this time it started to become more and more frequent that people would request not only a vanilla version of the game, but also of its past expansions, which had also started to be explored more within the private server community. This would create something of a faction war within the Blizzard community. Vanilla versus current. You had fans who had become jaded, and they disliked the more modernized version of the game.
And we still are. By the way, we're still jaded. Okay, in fact, I am more jaded than I've ever been after seeing Ascension. Jaded is a polite way to say it. Okay, I'll let that one slide, but
Versus those who
and yes, that war is still going on. And the thing is, retail has, even if you don't like housing, I guess that's kind of cool. They put in a bunch of items. You can not like it, you can not think it's cool, but I think that's in the right direction, right? I don't even like how it's instanced the way it is. I don't like how the communities, they're trying to force you to do it to get like power items. So I mean, yes, no, I'm going to pick my words carefully. I think it's heading in the right direction. But that's like one thing in like, what, 15 years? So, can we get the second thing? Can we get the third thing?
dismiss these gripes as nostalgic and misguided. As for Blizzard themselves, they would also disregard these pleas and remain quite firm that either
We
it
don't
was
want that,
impossible to do,
okay. I hope
as
that
they
guy's
hadn't
regretted
created
that
it,
every day of
or
his
the
life
players
since
were
then.
confused and they didn't know what they were asking for. Something that would be parroted many times, as the current faction would create this copy-paste called the Wall of No, containing several paragraphs of why vanilla servers would never happen, and why that's
Let me read like the one or two. Blizzard does not believe there are enough people interested in utilizing this idea long term. I don't know if Classic WoW's numbers have ever trumped retail numbers. The closest would probably be at the release of the original Classic. And I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But long term, people are just going to want to play the new stuff when it comes out. And then they'll get bored of the new stuff. They'll go try other new stuff or go back to what they know.
containing several paragraphs of why vanilla
If they don't
servers
like
would
it.
never-
If retail kept being good and good and good, then maybe that would be true what they're saying here. But the thing is, retail's bleh. Classic is up here and it stays good. Private servers, you could even argue, it's on an upward trend. Ascension already has TBC's map in the game. They already have Wrath's map in the game. It's on the Wrath patch. They have servers that are like alpha testing Wrath content. They have a TBC progressive server. I don't play on it, but it's also, I think it's the free class thing, not the COA that I'm on, with the 21 new classes. Yes, 21 new classes.
happen.
And everyone's like,
Why-
oh, but it's Blizzard abilities, it's Blizzard talents. No, it's not. Go play the game. Idiots. I watch Payo too. I watch Peekaboo too. They're wrong. They're incorrect. I love them, but they're incorrect. It's not retail minus. Okay?
That's a good
Go try to pull 3 mobs at level 1. Tell me it's retail. Yeah, you'll be walking back from the graveyard while you're
thing
saying it's
with
retail.
Awesome expansions like, BFA and Shadowlands and stuff. The whole thing got insanely petty, as internet nerd fights often are. The community had begun to split in a substantial way, and any discussion surrounding vanilla servers would quickly devolve into flame wars and toxicity.
Well, it's been proven over time that Classic, everyone that said Classic wouldn't have an audience was incorrect. They were wrong. The people that said people wanted to play Classic were correct, and that's objective fact. So they've made more than enough money to cover servers that they do nothing new on, right? So
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
No. And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't. Remember when you had to spam cities and say, need a tank, need a tank, need a tank during the Burning Crusade days? You don't remember that. Because
In
now you just push a
2013,
button that says,
What an absolute asshat. Do I think there should be the LFG feature added? I mean, like, maybe not the auto teleport you to there, but I think they kind of added the where you put yourself in there as a role. People still spam all the time in the chat. Like, neat looking for tank, looking for DPS, looking for you. Yes, that sucks. That might be the worst part of it all, but dude, that's not a good enough reason to not play Classic at all.
Something of a climax. During a Q&A panel for an upcoming expansion, the Warlords of Draenor, a fan asked the developers on the possibility,
which turned out to be one of the most hated expansions, by the way. Warlords of Draenor. So this was just the peak terrible time. These were when all these people right here were the stupidest that they were. Okay? And that's the culmination of it. You had that guy who was so ass backward during this time. The king of being ass backward. That he actually said that while pushing out Draenor. WAD.
oh,
it was quite
It's
clear.
impressive.
Developers
Like,
themselves
impressively embarrassing. As someone who can look back on it all with some hindsight, that is impressively embarrassing. Okay? Like, to be able to go out show your face in public anymore, that's embarrassing.
maybe even insulted by the players' wishes to play what they dismissed as archaic and inferior. Come on, what's wrong with this game? This expansion's going to be our best.
I see that you disagree. It's time. Let's get serious then.
Chronos, Nostalrius, and many more, attempting to emulate the 1.12 patch as closely as possible, while at the same time avoiding the temptation of tainting the experience with cash shops like the previous servers had done. At this point, the retail version of the game had become quite heavily monetized, which made it unappealing for a certain percentage of the player base, so it became more and more important for the community to have a server that's uncorrupted with RMT. So all of this, combined with being timed well.
All of this meaning the disrespect to their face, by the way. Like, I'm a WoW player too, that's me included. The disrespect to our faces, saying that no, we don't want that, you know, we're wrong. Now you start to get people upset, and trust me, one of the biggest motivators in this world, whether for good or bad, is ego. You start getting a bunch of nerds pissy, get a bunch of nerds ego involved. Okay, now there's a battle, and I'm all for it.
The server still had major issues, largely due to hosting such a large player base at this point, such as rollbacks, raid IDs resetting after the servers crash, and other pretty impactful glitches. But yep, people played, and Nostalrius in particular rose to the top.
Damn, okay, this is the first one that I've heard of before, right? Was it S-Fand? I don't watch him anymore, but I think S-Fand was either on this. Progressive Vanilla, 800,000
registered accounts, which was an absolutely astronomical number that no server had even come close to reaching. However, unfortunately for Nostalrius, their success ended up being their downfall, as they had become popular enough to attract the attention of Blizzard, who would...
We're seeing this today, aren't we? That's, some things never change.
Send them a cease and desist, as well as detectives knocking on their doors in late hours of the night.
I personally had a private investigator hired to track me down by a legal firm that represents Blizzard. He called numerous people in my life, including my employer, my owner of my company, to confirm information about me so he could serve me papers at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night, slamming and knocking on the door, freaking the crap out of my wife, and waking up my baby daughter in the night.
Yeah, in Tennessee, try that. I guarantee. You'll find out why they don't do that in Tennessee.
Lawsuit in 2016.
We'll find out real quick.
Forced to shut down, which would only fuel the flames. The player base was irate because the situation was as follows. Blizzard refused or wasn't able to produce it. They dismissed players who wanted it in a condescending way. And they're now actively shutting down the people who were providing it. Although
that is enough to get the ego out. You know, that's enough to get some nerds involved, you know,
they were,
and give us motivation.
100% within their legal right to do so. The private server community certainly wasn't too happy at this moment. They'd go on to sign a petition for Blizzard to finally recreate a vanilla version of the game, as there was an obvious market for it.
279,000.
and would reach hundreds of thousands of signatures. They continued to apply pressure. Blizzard would respond with the suggestion of what they called pristine realms.
We explored options for developing classic servers, and none could be executed without great difficulty. Idiots. If we could push a button and all this would have been created, we would. However, there are tremendous operational challenges to integrating classic servers. No, there's not. And to mention the ongoing support of multiple live versions for every aspect of WoW. Okay, how many people do you really need to put in more WoW tokens to make sure the WoW token systems are working? To make sure the housing systems work? Okay, assign someone to that. That's it. They work on the game-breaking bugs that have to do with houses. And you'd probably want to assign them more than just housing. But no. No. This is not... Let's let them talk.
Which would be different rule sets of the current game, which was Legion at the time, such as turning off all level acceleration bonuses such as heirlooms, boosts, disabling the WoW token, as they had felt that.
And you know what? Heirlooms... Wait, character transfers. Why is that? Okay, anyway. Heirlooms, boosts, and recruit a friend bonuses, WoW token. Actually, recruit a friend I thought was alright. A WoW token. And you know what? That's most people's most hated thing about WoW. They'd added all these horrible things, which are horrible. Yes. Maybe not recruit a friend. Or character transfers. What the heck? But group finder, cross realm zones. You know what? Those things all suck. But you know what was really the worst part of this whole downfall? The content stopped being fun. The gameplay stopped being fun. It felt like I'm just in a new zone doing the exact same hamster wheel again. The artwork around me is okay. I'm glad it's at least a new zone, right? But it's also on a new continent, taking everyone away from being around each other. The worst part, all this would have been completely... It would have sucked, but it would have been overlooked if the game was fun. If the game we were playing together was fun. If I didn't feel like I had to, like, battle for quest mobs on Ascension right now like I'm doing. That's making the gameplay not fun. I don't care about all the amazing stuff on Ascension when the gameplay itself is like, okay, what am I doing? I'm going out into the world. If I don't want to dungeon spam, I have to go battle. I'm not in a PvP mode, at the moment. I'm just trying to quest. It's making me mad. It's making me aggressive. You see it on stream. I'm live right now. I'm live every day on YouTube and Twitch. And lately, I've been playing Ascension, even through all this. So that's because the gameplay is fun enough in general that even all of the, with all the new stuff combined, you put together all these pieces of data, is what I'm saying. It's more fun than it is annoying. It's more fun than it is, I'm willing to look over the not good stuff because the good stuff is very good. With retail WoW where it's at right now, what do you have? You looking forward to the next raid? Okay, you're gonna do it once or twice? Alright, then what? Are you trying to be like a cutting edge raider? Okay, well it's easier than ever. You might actually get that in 2-3 weeks, and then what? It's not the same, man. It's just not fun. There's nothing to help you look over all the bonuses. People just bought second week of look at the World First guilds. They have people fully decked out in gear in 2 weeks. And it's like, bro,
philosophy of the classic game.
Of course you're the world first. Everyone in your guild has unlimited money because you guys just, probably sell your boosts every other week. They do this, by the way. That's exactly what they do. They sell boosts. They are the bots, selling boosts between raids for the whole 6 months, a year in between raids. Of course you're the world first. There's a reason it's only been 3 guilds in contention, maybe 4 the Chinese guild, in the last how many years? It's because you're the only people who do that can do that. You guys all have, little deals. They probably get paid from Blizzard.
Hold on to
in some ways,
because
and even if they don't,
important later on. This too was not.
They just sell boosts like bots the whole time.
Would still be missing as it
to make their goal to just buy all their gear.
The class balance would still be current, as well as a plethora of other retail design philosophies that would negatively impact vanilla. It was seen as a half measure. However, as the saying goes, there must always be a Lich King, and at this point other servers would come in to serve the displaced player base. Chronos would relaunch as Chronos 2, providing the same experience as Chronos 1, but just a fresh relaunch and a new start for the refugees from Nostalrius. But behind the scenes, throughout all of this friction, there was some interesting news, as after Nostalrius was shut down, Blizzard had actually invited some of the staff to their headquarters in California for a meeting.
What? They need to do this with Ascension, by the way. As announced previously, we're also in contact with Blizzard reps. We're excited to announce that the meeting date has been decided. It will occur at the beginning of June at the Blizzard HQ.
No one knew what was said
Better be
in
careful.
this meeting. Some speculated legal proceedings, and some of the more hopeful people anticipated a big announcement in the near future, as it was quite a momentous occasion with Blizzard to actually extend a hand out and work directly with private server groups. Beyond the front of retail World of Warcraft, however, yet another controversy was brewing within the private server community, and it would be one that would forever shake the trust of the players and question the motivation of administrators who claim to operate on the principles of a pure love for the game.
No. Let me just break that real quick before MadSeason can even Ascension. Okay, it's a company. Well, whatever you want to call it. It's an organization of people who want money, and they wouldn't do it for free. They wouldn't sell you things if they weren't trying to make money off of selling things. Okay, everyone is motivated by money. Every single person, whether it's your main motivation or not, that's up to you. But
The past week or so, I've been investigating with people what's going on at Elysium because there's been some fishy, shady shit. And all week I've been called a drama wama. I need to get out of my mom's basement and get a wife. All of that. And today I guess we can prove those people wrong.
I haven't been sleeping since Elysium launched. Do you know what it's like to run a private game server? Okay, it was obviously very stressed, not having fun, transparency. This is like an owner of it, I guess.
He was an admin
Shut
on
up.
Elysium, and he was corrupt. And now here's the interesting part I want to talk about, guys. This is why the battle is won, but the war isn't over.
What?
Although Nostalrius was the most popular vanilla private server during the time, it certainly wasn't the only one, and from its ashes arose Elysium. At that year's BlizzCon in 2016, Nostalrius urged players to bring up private servers in the Q&A.
Yes, Blizzard is well aware of the legacy issue now, thanks to all of you. They know that the need here is with around 300,000 players signing a petition, and the statistics from the survey we published, answered by 50,000 gamers, showing players are ready to pay a subscription fee for it. According to the discussion we had since our official meeting at the headquarters, they now have everything in their hands to fulfill the large community request for legacy servers. As a consequence, if Blizzard doesn't make an announcement to honor their own core values, be sure we will.
Sections
Careful.
in order to put more pressure on them to release an official vanilla server themselves. Surprisingly, this did get a response from Blizzard, although it wasn't what they were hoping for, as they stated ahead of time on social media that they wouldn't be discussing it. Now rebuffed, this would cause Nostalrius to actually send out their source code and player character data and account information to Elysium to effectively serve as a massive transfer to keep them going in spirit. Already on the precipice of deep legal trouble, it's believed that Blizzard responded swiftly and aggressively, as shortly after, Nostalrius quickly changed their tune and were like, oh, whoa, hang on, actually.
We ask Elysium to join this effort for Legacy Realms by stopping to use data that we provided. We know they aim at something official Legacy Realms as we do. We have already stopped the account transfer process. Nostalrius community is no longer about private servers, it's about official Legacy Realms.
Yeah, if Elysium could maybe just not do that, please, that would be great. However, with the massive void now in the private server community and the potential to take the crown right in front of them, Elysium was essentially like Gondor in Lord of the Rings, where, he takes that shit when they're supposed to throw it in the volcano. I don't know. I watched that movie once, like 10 years ago. I don't really remember what happened. But in an interesting plot twist,
Oh no.
tensions arose between the two, and Elysium said that 52% of the accounts from Nostalrius switched over, but Nostalrius replied saying that only 10% switched, and in kind of a competition, Elysium also released their own source code in a show to allude that they didn't need Nostalrius's help because theirs was more soundly developed, I guess. Petty
What?
squabbles aside,
Hang on, I was trying to
Nostalrius's help.
We are using this opportunity to communicate the first numbers of the project. 52% of Nostalrius active accounts transferred. 155 increase of the active accounts compared to Nostalrius. I don't know. 50% of total accounts were active in the last 7 days. I mean, okay. It's still not crazy numbers. Wasn't there a what was the server that had like hundreds of thousands? Was that not Nostalris or whatever? So
Because theirs was more soundly developed, I guess. Petty squabbles aside, though, for the player base, it became the next home for vanilla.
look at
Nostalris
that.
had become
Oh, it still
larger,
looks so
and
old.
Elysium became the project to carry on the torch. Thousands of players rallied under its banner, guilds reformed, leveling zones filled up, and the community, despite everything, kept going. But behind the scenes,
as we always
things were
will.
not as they seemed. As tensions between players and Blizzard were at an all-time high,
Yep.
Elysium rallied behind the fact that they were the good guys doing this for the love of the game. That was kind of the whole pitch. Blizzard had not only abandoned vanilla, but they were the bad guys hunting down the poor, wholesome private server groups, and these volunteers, developers, and community figures were preserving it. However, this image would begin to crack when accusations started swirling around involving two of Elysium's administrators, Shenna and Krog. The allegations were quite severe, that these people with high-level access to the server were selling gold, they were spawning and selling characters, copying high-ranking PvP characters, they were doing deals with gold sellers behind the scenes, and interfering with and obfuscating the logs that would have exposed what was going on to other administrators of the server. So, these people...
Okay, well, I mean, obviously that's not good, and that should be the end of the server. And it seems like it was the beginning of the end of it. But that's something you gotta realize. I'm sure there's Ascension devs right now who could care less on how the lawsuit plays out. They're making their money. They know one day it might be gone. They're just trying to make as much money as they can until then.
We're supposedly running this pure community-driven passion
There's
project.
no pure
We're being
passion
accused of
nowadays.
running the exact kind of...
I can tell you I passionately love the world of Azeroth. I love the Warcraft universe. That doesn't stop the fact that I have to eat. Okay, even right now I have hunger pain because I don't, I'm in college. I just don't have a lot of money. Or streaming. I work as hard as I can. I've worked many jobs. But if I don't eat, I can't play a video game. I can't pay the electricity bill. I can't pay my phone bill. I can't pay the internet bill to play it. So
real money trading operation.
they can't run servers if they don't.
Had grown to dislike about modern World of Warcraft, and was the very reason that they joined private servers in the first place. One of these early accusers was a content creator known as Alex Sensual, who's a controversial figure within the World of Warcraft private server community.
What are those things
He would make
behind him?
videos
Are those like
producing
weights?
evidence supporting his claims of corruption?
Is that his carpet?
Which would receive a very hostile reaction from the community. Most would simply dismiss him as attacking the project for attention and trying to unnecessarily stir up controversy. But as suspicious as it was all left up for speculation until there was something of a coup within the development team, where inside staff revealed that there was indeed gold selling, the selling of high-level characters, rank 14s.
Okay. So a system admin named White Kidney formed a coup with 3 other devs and GMs, created their own backup of the Elysium project roughly 1 hour before shutdown, and deleted all of the Elysium project. They did this for a few reasons which are highlighted below. Kroge was generating currency and selling it to gold sellers. He was copying characters, maybe generating 2, we don't know for sure, including 2 rank 14s, and selling them to account buyers' gold selling sites. Wow. Although WK seems to know from logs. So White Kidney went through database logs of items, characters that were being created or deleted, and found that something unethical was going on. Kroge was improperly removing the logs, and perhaps stopped caring. And that is how White Kidney got solid proof of Kroge's corruption, and that he was generating currency and copying characters. Both of those accusations have been admitted by Kroge himself in the VOD. Despite admitting to both of these accusations, Kroge is adamant that the money was earned from these ventures was spent on hardware, and that he continued to ban gold sellers, even as he generated and sold gold to these very sellers. Shenna, on the other hand, wasn't generating currency copying characters, but was directly skimming money from the Elysium PayPal. The Elysium PayPal was being governed by Vitaly and or his wife, and Shenna had complete access to the account at her free will. These direct accusations have not been admitted by Shenna, but she has admitted to taking 2,500 to 3,000 USD one time from the PayPal account, on top of 500 to 700 per month. And that's a lot of money back then, by the way. That's
unbanning
rent and your
accounts for
bills
cash.
just paid each month.
There were unsuccessful attempts to delete the logs of all of this. Some damning chat
Back
logs
then.
came out, and supposedly
Let me see what those logs
of all
were.
of this. Some damning chat logs.
You should just stop it. Yo, I'm going through the logs, except GM logs. You're selling carrots to Luigi and the other guy. Yeah, your former friends, I guess. Luigi is not the smartest person. Which companies are you selling gold to? I should know so I can get ahead of shit. El Kiddo is much smarter and avoids any attention. Hence, I will sell primary characters to him.
Came out, and
Oh,
supposedly
not-
there was also some alleged skimming of money from player donations that were advertised to be used to solely cover the cost of hosting the server. Shenna would reply in an emotional, expletive-laced rant in a post titled, "You want transparency? Here it is." She would defend the project, proclaiming that all of this was false, and ultimately to, quote, trust them or fuck off. It was deleted shortly after.
Yeah, it seems like the community chose the latter, right? Like, even as soon as that kind of thing gets brought into question, all the trust is out the window. And there has to be guardrails to where that never happens. There has to be enough people in that circle where one of them will rat, even if it's every other person that is skimming or taking money. One of them has to rat.
The rogue developers would then split off and make a copy of Elysium and called themselves the Light's Hope Project, hosting copies of Elysium servers at first, before later relaunching fresh with
White Kidney, Light Hope Staff,
Earthdale in 2018, as the communities picked up the pieces of yet another controversy. So, in essence, it was a complete train wreck. Kind of like a Game of Thrones episode, except everybody has autism.
Yeah.
And at this point,
Sounds
there's
about
such
right.
a spectacle surrounding it that the entertainment value had started to shift away from actually playing the game to watching these various controversies unfold. And it was also during this time that the game's expansion started to get some more traction. These had existed for many years in the private server scene at this point, but with the exception of WoWscape very early on, they remained relatively
Go spam
niche
Blizzard's
compared to the
Facebook
main
wall.
attraction, which was vanilla. There was another group called Warmain, which saw
Oh wait, no, this is where I had heard S-Band, I think, talk about it. He was on Warmain, wasn't he?
respectable success as well.
I've heard of this one.
Was monetized. However, it was in a way that was out in the open. The servers had queues in order to get in, which you could circumvent by paying for a...
See, it's out in the open. Kind of like how Ascension's doing. I think they sell a lot of gold or real money items in their currency, or and stuff with their in-game currency. So it's like you can earn most of the stuff, or you can go buy it. And most of it, even though there are power items, it's very out in the open. You don't have to get it. Okay.
premium account. There was also a cash shop.
I don't love that, by the way. Even Ascension's, but it's a business, guys. I'm being serious. Like, Ascension's probably using a good chunk of all that money they've earned in legal fees, right? And if they didn't have enough money to at least extend the legal battle for as long as they could, it could be down right now. Like, it would be literally shut down by now, probably. So yeah, it's one of those things you have to kind of balance as you age a little bit and like learn how the world works, 6-7 and whatnot. It's just a matter of doing it the right way. Like, okay, put out into the open that you are needing money or else we're gonna have to shut down. I guarantee you might find some people who are willing to say, all right, I'm having fun, here's $5, shut up. You know, and if enough people do that,
donation shop,
maybe they can
as it's
continue.
always labeled in private servers.
And if it doesn't happen and they
it's
shut
of interest
down,
to
then
not only
that's
vanilla
the
version
players
of the
speaking
game,
also.
but also on their Outland server, which was based around the Burning Crusade. Then, as was common within the private server community, a usurper came and challenged the throne. Felmist/Gummies was an upcoming Burning Crusade private server that essentially promised the world, including being 99% scripted, 4 years of development behind it, no monetization, and low latency for US-based players.
No, we work for free. The website is nonprofit and educational in nature. I'm gonna go ahead and call bullshit.
As the servers would be hosted
What's the
in
catch?
United States. The controversy here was the latter. On one hand, it was appealing, as at this point, private servers were historically hosted across the pond, in places like Russia, as they're legally harder to reach for the California-based Blizzard Entertainment, although they aren't completely immune. Hold on to that thought, it becomes important later. But
Yeah, but he's gonna talk about Turtle WoW, and I can't believe Ascension. Everyone thought the Ascension devs weren't based in US, but they
people
are.
planted their banners, either Warmane or Felmist. They squabbled on community websites such as Reddit. It became one of the most highly anticipated private servers during the time it launched, and within 5 hours they announced that it was going to be shut down after a cease and desist letter from Blizzard Entertainment. Or at least that's what they claimed. There's a theory that it was faked to get out of it, as they'd kind of bit off more than they could chew. There's also another controversy, as there was a hidden Felmist server that allowed a select few chosen people.
They wouldn't just instantly say they were going to cancel it. Let people like spend money first, right, or something. That's wild.
To play, yeah, a private server, but things eventually fizzled out as yet another blow had been dealt to the private server community. However, meanwhile, in the background, something was stirring at Blizzard Entertainment.
Yeah, the whole time they're trying to find the servers.
I want to talk about ice cream.
Here's this douchebag. Came back. You can tell that the years weren't kind to him. I think he's still around, to all of our detriment, unfortunately. But, you know, he was the one, he said, you know, I messed up so bad, I'll be the one to announce Classic now. After saying it wasn't possible, and then he was just wrong again.
Ice cream is great. Ice cream is one of my favorite desserts. Personally, I love chocolate, and I love cookies and cream. Cookies and cream is actually my all-time favorite dessert. But I understand that for some of you, your favorite flavor is vanilla.
Okay. Why couldn't someone else? Even Ian would have done better. Ian should have been up there.
13 years after its initial release, and 1 year after the Nostalgia
I played
shutdown,
it when it came
at that
out.
year's BlizzCon, J. Allen Brack, the same developer who in 2013,
What was it,
dismissed the
2019?
fan for asking for
This
vanilla
came out
servers,
again?
announced the existence of World of Warcraft Classic. After finding the backup of a backup from an ex-employee, they had found some critical data that they said was stopping them from making Classic, and so the team had begun to work on it. The release would work.
They
as
said they
follows.
found a backup of a backup from an old employee. Whether or not that is true, I mean, somehow, somewhere, they had to have had like a patch, right? Someone else could have had it. Like I don't think it's as rare or unbelievable as they're trying to make it sound.
It's vanilla World of Warcraft with the old world, the old quests, class balance, as it was in the final.
I'm glad it
patch
happened. Either way, I'm
1.12,
glad they.
with some progressive content.
I'm glad they finally, at this point, after years of being incorrect, and they're still don't forget they are attacking to this day the private server community who is only trying to expand upon Classic, and that's because Classic now has come out. It was re-released 7 years ago. Now, right? If it was 2019, am I right about that? 2019? Was it 2017? Either way, and we're now talking 20 years. It's 2 decades since it was released the first time, and people just want Classic to be built on top of now. They want a little bit more. Some people will disagree and say they just want to re-release again. Whatever the case is, there's a bunch of people wanting vanilla. You know, their taste of ice cream has not changed.
Releases to roughly mirror the original cadence of updates, such as Battlegrounds, Dungeons.
I said it before at the beginning of the video, I'll say it again. I want, okay, disagree with me all you want. Tell me in the comments how stupid I am or how smart I'm being about this. I'm sure someone out there is going to think I'm smart, right? Of course. But either way, tell me what you're wanting, because I feel like what I want, and I'm not a game dev, I'm a data scientist. I do like coding for finance and stuff like that, risk models. I don't do game development, all right? I think it's a great craft. It's just not my thing. I want more on top of that vanilla world. Okay, I want the Classic plus something else. I don't want to just be a warlock, a human warlock, and go through Elwyn Forest, Dead Mines, with like a couple new quests here and there. No, dude. Ascension has changed how I feel about all of that. If that team, I heard it was 5 people, but even if that team was like 50, okay, or more, even if Blizzard's team and resources are way vaster than that. It's a way bigger company with way more connections and resources, talent available. Now, talent available does not mean talent working on the project. Ascension has showed me that. If they even put out just like some quests here and there, no new classes, they've already, I think, established there's not going to be classes in Classic Plus, like anything new. That's horrible. Ascension has changed every single zone. Every one. They've put in whole new zones. I hopped into the Pale Reach on stream the other day. That's the new zone on the Alliance side. There's a new zone on the Horde side too in Kalimdor. But the one that's right above Stormwind now, I hopped in there a few days ago on stream to pick up some quests. I was like, let's just do it before I out-level it. I want to experience the new zone. Okay, I'm still there on that character. I'm like 3 days later, 2 or 3 days later. I haven't been questing all day, but I filled up my quest log there 2 or 3 times now. Okay, that's 25 quests each time. And that's one zone. Okay, that is one zone. This isn't some like half cheat
changes for the
stuff,
more
you know.
They would advertise all of the charm of vanilla and also the lack of features that conflict with it, such as dungeon finders, raid finders, and perhaps most importantly, microtransactions. The fan base erupted after over a decade.
Just when I thought I'm out, they pulled me back in,
which was great for Blizzard fans, but not the best news for private server fans, as one of their main draws was the fact that Blizzard wasn't offering the original experience.
Well, yeah, just like I was saying earlier, when Classic was out and people were already trying to make private servers, why would you play it? If the gameplay is fun, if you are excited to play it, if there's a bunch of other people excited to play it, why would you play the private server? Why would Ascension exist if Classic Plus was already out and like putting out whole new stuffs all the time? I'm not saying those devs shouldn't put their talent somewhere, because those are amazing devs that have worked on Ascension for the most part, I think. And it's not perfect, you know, but why would you play Ascension if Classic Plus was there and good? Why would we play?
So with official Classic on the horizon,
why would we risk? Why would these people risk a lawsuit of $85 million if they knew they wouldn't make a bunch of money because a bunch of people wanted this, right?
Due to a lack of interest. However, when one door closes, another one opens, and it did usher in a new era for the private servers.
Here we go.
Classic Plus. Many players got what they wanted, the official Classic, which was eventually bastardized with gameplay destroying monetization, which they promised would not come. Told you so.
And by the way, like, I boosted a TBC character. Like, I get it. Sometimes it's worth it to not have to. I saved how many days of gameplay, even if I would just dungeon grinded or just straight AoE mob pooled. I saved days of my life not having to level to 60 again, you know, or in TBC, I guess 60 before you head out to the Outland. But, you know, that kind of ruins it though, because now I know I can do that, and it's like, okay, well, now why would I ever do that again? Why, you know, I don't have the money to spend on these types of things, so I don't. But
by the way, but
I did.
The experience came and went, and there were 2 directions that Blizzard had open to them. They could either continue down the original line of expansions, such as the Burning Crusade, Wrath, and so on. This was the safe option, as just like with vanilla, the private server community had already shown that there was a demand for recreations of these past expansions, particularly the first 2. Or alternatively, they can make Classic Plus. Although no one can really agree on exactly what it is, there are some generalizations.
And there's going to be, even at the final result, even if Classic Plus comes out and it's like everything I wanted, that's going to piss off a ton of people. Okay, and if it comes out and it's only what the old heads that just want to play vanilla again want, I'm pissed. You know, I'm probably not going to play it. I'll just play Classic Era or vanilla or Ascension or whatever else is around in 6 months. You know, no one's going to be.
Commonly see when people discuss it.
It's not going to be perfect for everyone, no matter what.
It's to stay in the old world. The Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor, often at level 60, and content and updates are added in the spirit of vanilla, such as new dungeons, raids, sometimes classes, class balance changes, new professions, quest zones, battlegrounds. Popular suggestions include content that the original developers had planned, but had scrapped due to time constraints or saved for re-envisionings and later expansions. as history showed, Blizzard would opt for the safe route, and they just went down the line of expansions once more. As of this video, they're in Mists of Pandaria, which was one of the expansions.
Yeah, I played it. And you know what? They're doing it again. Not only were they so wrong initially, but they were so incorrect that they went through a whole re-release cycle for vanilla through Wrath. They're in MOP now. And then they decided, let's do it again. It worked so well, and it was so easy. Let's just do it again. Now we're on anniversary servers in TBC. I've got 370s. It worked. I had a druid going through MC. You know, in the original vanilla world. I had a warlock that was maybe level 50.
Low population reflects that. Who would have thunk it? Oh yeah, I did. And a side effect to this is that they once more left this void, and they were failing to provide a game mode that was in high demand, which opened the door once more for these private servers to step in. There have been a few different entries, the most popular of which were Turtle WoW and...
Let's see here. Because I know there's some people here who have played Turtle WoW, or at least have been in the stream lately, who play Turtle WoW. I've heard a little bit about it. It's one of the ones that I've heard about not being a private server Andy. I guess I am now, but Project Ascension as well. So here's Turtle WoW, I'm assuming, and then Project Ascension. So let's see what he's got to say here. I hope he spends a little bit of time talking about it.
Ascension launched in 2018 and 2016.
Come on, guys.
Servers, like their predecessors, were fairly monetized, operating on the same donation system first used by WoWscape, where users donate for account services, quality of life, and also character power, using the term donation in order to jump this legal hurdle to try to stay out of Blizzard sites. Slowly but surely, especially as Official Classic exited the golden era of the game with Cataclysm, these Classic Plus private servers would only grow in popularity. Turtle in particular became extremely popular, so much so
500k active players, 44k players online, 1 Sarkoth. This could take a while. Oh, Sarkoth, the little scorpion in the horde starting zone in Dorotar. I mean, did they not make it?
Hubris kind of got the better of them, and they started
Sorry for
poking the
confusion,
bear in
Ally.
snarky social media posts. Eventually, like many others before them, they grew big enough that Blizzard would send them a cease and desist letter threatening legal action if they failed to comply, despite the precedent set by WoWscape many years earlier.
So it looked like some new zones were in Turtle WoW, like whole new zones. That's awesome. And here we go.
They ended up ignoring
as soon as
the
it
letter,
starts getting good,
which resulted in Blizzard launching an official lawsuit against them, even going as far as to cite a RICO charge, as they alleged that Turtle WoW was this international crime organization. They went on to say that they've generated...
Yeah, right. RICO. That's a very serious. You're not from the U.S. That means they are trying to pin them as like an organization that is conspiring together to make money in criminal ways. So it's more than just copyright infringement. A RICO charge is what they would use against like a mafia or like a gang. You know, they've done that to a few people. They did that to the old Italian mafia here in New York. They've used it against like rappers who like were, you know, had gangs and affiliations to gangs.
System. And in a plot twist of the century, it was alleged in the lawsuit by Blizzard that Torda, the administrator of the server, was Shenna, the controversial figure from Elysium who...
Son of a... No way. Shenna? So, at least they got a little bit of karma from scraping off the top. Now, I don't know the story. Maybe everyone from Turtle WoW could kind of fill me in here. But it kind of feels good that she's mentioned in the lawsuit after stealing from people.
Was allegedly involved with selling gold characters and...
You either trust us or fuck off. Yeah, well, have fun in the lawsuit.
Stand their ground, telling their community that they were there to stay, and they continued to roll out new content patches, and they also made a public letter to kind of reach out.
Dear Blizzard Entertainment, we are Turtle WoW, a group of fans who love WoW and share a lifelong dream of contributing to its development. Mysteries of Azeroth, our content expansion, is a collective effort of our community members, writers, developers, 3D modelists, composers, voice actors, game designers, artists, radio DJs, each pouring their soul and skills into creating an environment where others can experience the vision we all share. We're expanding and adding onto the universe you have created. Well, there you go. That last 3 words is the most important. During the 7 years we've been online, we have worked toward finding the right recipe to add an element of replayability to the natural progression of an MMO world. Every update brings fresh areas to explore, new ways to engage, and leveling challenges that require players to approach the experience with creativity and strategy. Okay, well, that's great and all. Let's move down to here. Unfortunately, unlike other studios, Blizzard does not yet have a framework that allows projects like ours to operate without risking legal conflict. With that in mind, we respectfully ask that Blizzard consider, this is the same Blizzard that was owned and operated by Bobby Kotick. We respectfully ask that Blizzard consider establishing a formal ecosystem for licensing fan-run community servers. I'm sure Bobby Kotick will get right on that as soon as he leaves Epstein Island. Okay. On behalf of our community, we can say that for all players, we will be deeply grateful if you will consider working with fan communities like ours to create a clear, lawful pathway for building upon the legacy of WoW Universe, with your blessing. By fostering an ecosystem for modders to run their community servers, Blizzard can continue to oversee and control its progress, while encouraging fan-driven innovation. Yeah, but how much of the cut did they get of like the sub fee and stuff? It's just not going to work.
Out to Blizzard to come to some sort of compromise.
That was cute and all,
where
though.
They could work together. Many were quite optimistic, believing them to be immune, since many of the employees in the server itself were located outside of the United States and therefore out of Blizzard's reach. However, this ended up not being true, as eventually Blizzard
On the Turtle WoW Discord, the previous comment made by the devs about not going anywhere has been removed. Yep.
was able to put enough pressure on them, resulting in Turtle WoW announcing their shutdown. With Turtle WoW now out of the picture, Blizzard would then set their sights on Ascension WoW, who also ignored the preemptive cease
Son of a bitch. Leave us alone.
and desist letter. The lawsuit contained many of the same fixings as Turtle WoW, with the main difference being is that many of the employees
Tennessee? My brother in Christ, you are in my state? You are 4 hours away from me? Oh my god. Ohio's pretty close too, but I mean, it's just north, a couple states. But you're in Tennessee, bro? This is a very business-friendly, right-leaning state, okay? I'm not going to get politics. We do that a little bit on my stream, but not for now. Just know I'm independent. I think there's idiots on both sides, and plenty of them. But just so you know, Tennessee is very Republican, right-leaning, the state, and they're very business-friendly. Like, they will sacrifice humans here for companies if need be, just to make as much money as they can.
including, as Blizzard alleges, the masterminds behind the server being located in the United States. So the protections that ultimately weren't enough for Turtle.
Manage. I want to read this. All the business affairs project engine. Hire and supervise all project Ascension staff members. Manage, coordinate, marketing, advertising project Ascension. Ensure that Ascension client and Ascension servers are functioning properly, and act as overall masterminds of the business. Talking about them. Blizzard is informed and believes, and on that basis avers, that blank and blank have received millions of dollars from their operation of Project Ascension, much of which is run through various shell corporations, including the two corporate defendants claimed here, right?
Exist even less for Ascension, and it's not looking too good right now. They haven't made any public statements and have continued releasing updates about the game, much like how Turtle WoW is doing, but it's widely believed that it's only a matter of time before the announcement is made that it too is shutting down. In the midst of this, presumably because Blizzard is sending out cease and desists left and right, and
when was that? Stormforge community, May 14th.
This presumably because
Stormforge. It is with a heavy heart we share the news of this project shutdown following cease and desist. We have agreed to cease all operations, development, and distribution of content related to WoW by May 14th. Our realms will remain online and fully accessible until that date, but will no longer be possible to register a new account, and no further content updates will be released.
Because Blizzard is sending out cease and desists left and right and witnessing the fate of Turtle WoW, more and more private servers have also announced their closure, and It's believed pretty widely by the community at this point that they're being quite active with these lawsuits due to an upcoming announcement of Classic Plus at this year's BlizzCon in 2026, which, if true, would mimic the situation in 2016, with Nostalrius being shut down shortly before the announcement of official Classic.
That's probably, I would say that's the most likely scenario too. I would agree that, you know, it's probably all going to play out the same way. That's how my life has gone. And it's kind of how things just are. Reality is harsh. Reality is not fair. Reality does not care. You know, reality is these guys have the legal foothold, have the legal footing. And you know, they have plenty of resources, money, lawyers. They've got help from Microsoft if they need it. Ascension couldn't compete if they sold every level for $100. They wouldn't be able to compete. I have to see, but I would just say, enjoy every single moment. I mean, I'm on live every single day, and will be until the day it shuts down playing this game. Whether it's leveling characters, dungeoning, questing, PvP, I'm going to be on it as much as I can. And then when Classic Plus comes out, I'm going to play Classic Plus, if it's good, you know. I'm going to enjoy everything, every bit of WoW. You know, well, I can't. If Ascension, just from some miracle, literally, I would call it less than getting Ashes of Alar twice in the same day dropping. That kind of a chance. If for somehow it survives this, or maybe it gets passed to someone else who has plausible deniability and it stays alive somehow, I would love to keep playing it. There's so much to do and so many new things, especially if they keep coming out with content. Dude, imagine taking a Blood Mage through Icecrown Citadel. That would be crazy, bro. That would be awesome. But I would just go enjoy all the time you can. You know, enjoy every second of it.
And
expect it to be gone one day.
World of Warcraft private servers, from lawsuits to shutdowns, corruption, donation shops, stolen code, fractured teams, rampant egos. It's about as messy and as dramatic as the history of Blizzard and World of Warcraft itself. However, as controversial as it is,
yeah, don't forget, this is the same company that had got a lawsuit because they had people selling and stealing breast milk from employees that were working there. Like, employees would steal other employees' breast milk from the refrigerators in their office. Like, okay, they got sued for that. All right, these are the people saying, "Oh, dude, it's immoral. Don't do that." Okay, you guys were literally saying the slurs in game and then banning people for saying or responding with slurs. Like, I saw a post on Reddit about that. It's just crazy. All the screenshots and all the news and all the legal drama over the years. Yes, it's, you know, there's either going to be drama in the private server world or drama in the retail world. It's always going to be there. That doesn't go anywhere. That's just human nature, though. To take away all these experiences from people and then give them nothing. Like, okay, thank you for releasing Classic in 2019. I'm glad after 13 years, you know, and 10-ish years, 9 years since you said no, but in general, 13 or so years, it finally came out. That's what's up. I'm almost done with college now, you know, so thank you, I guess. But what's next? Okay, not all of your players are 40, 50 years old. Okay, what's next? What's going on? I still have a life I want to live. I want to have some fun while I'm playing games, wasting my life playing video games happily. If it's good, I'll do it happily. I love games. They take me out of this terrible world where I can barely feed myself, pay my bills while in college, barely surviving. And no, it could be way worse. I know that. But that's why I like fantasy games. I can hop into it and play as a Venomancer and two-shot people. I can transform into a fucking werewolf as a blood mage and just have fun. Even in WoW Classic, I can transform into like a new character. If you're going to take that away from us again, give us something to overcome it, you know?
It's always been more about than just
give us a
piracy
substitution
and playing the game for free. for many.
Classic Plus, we did a video on my channel, they've already talked about some things they've data mined. We would be very lucky, and listen, I know the importance of every single decimal point. Okay, I know the difference between a 2% drop mount and a 1%. That's a lot more attempts, okay? If we get even 10% of what Ascension has done in Classic Plus, I would be like, okay, this is probably going to be alright. But if you expect anything more than that, you're out of your mind. They're going to slowly drip feed us stuff while they're doing retail and moving TBC into Wrath. It's just going to be slowly drip fed to us, and it's going to be stuff that we could have had months ago, if not years ago, in Ascension or one of these other servers too. I don't get paid by Ascension, by the way. Like, I just started. I'm watching this to catch up on the years of private servers I didn't play. I've played Ascension now for like 2 weeks, and I've had more fun with it than a decade of WoW. No exaggeration. None. I've had plenty of great times in WoW. Retail. I'm struggling to come up with one off the top of my head because it's been so shit for so long. But, you know, Legion. Legion was cool for the little bit I played. Yeah. What since then? Like a couple of the raids? Nathria? I think everyone liked Shadowlands raids, but we all hated Shadowlands. Look me in the eyes and tell me you like Korthia. You can't do it. You wouldn't do it. No one would sit here and lie unless you're getting paid to. And then all the fairness too.
Online
Still,
microcosms gathered around a game that they loved, but no longer existed commercially. They've certainly had their share of bad actors, but there were and still are many who simply love the world of Azeroth enough to spend years reverse engineering it, preserving it.
you know what comes to mind? Dragonflight. When we're all kind of new and we were going through the zones, and we came across that stupid ass chef who we all had to like take turns. It was so laggy you could barely do it. We had to take turns saying yes chef, and like going to get an item for the big pot dish that would give us all a buff for the zone. That was fun for some reason. I'm sitting here thinking about when was the last time I had fun, like real fun, and for some reason that comes to mind. It wasn't that fun. It wasn't like mind blowing, but a bunch of people would be right there for like a while because you had to get a quest done while you're there, your weekly quest, and people were pissed. People were yelling in chat. People were like, "Oh my god, it's so laggy." That was fun. Delves? No. Torghast? No, absolutely not. Torghast could have even been better. I'm not gonna say that was just like the worst idea ever, but the Maw was just awful. War Within. I've tried to forget War Within. It was so bad. What did we even do? It was horrible. I don't think I had any fun at any point in War Within. Like even trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. And then Midnight, I tried all these expansions. I had multiple max level characters, by the way. Multiple. I tried it. Just wasn't it. And it's still not it. Midnight's terrible. Midnight's probably, retail might be in the worst spot it's ever been. That's obviously someone's gonna say, oh, it was way worse here, or why are you just being dramatic? It's not that bad. No, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Just objectively. So, and yes, objectively, meaning it's a fact. Okay, it is bad. I don't care what your opinion on it is. Well, I do. Tell me in the comments, because I do want to know, like, more importantly, because I think most of us here will agree retail is not in the best spot it's ever been. I think what's more important to me, I want to know what you want from Classic Plus. Please tell me below. I'll respond, or I'll give my... You're not going to hurt my feelings if you think everything I said was stupid. You don't want any of it.
Rebuilding
you want to just be a human warrior going through Elwyn Forest again with no changes. I mean, okay. I hope not. But if that's what the majority of players want, then that's what they should get.
Their longevity seems to be inexorably inversely proportional to their quality. The better they are, the more popular they become, which puts them into Blizzard's unmerciful sights. And when they do inevitably collapse, both the game itself and the community surrounding it are scattered to the wind and are left.
And you know what? Maybe that's how I even got into Project Ascension. 6 years late, or 7 years late, maybe more. And only 2 weeks into it. If they got someone like me who would never play private servers ever, then they're doing something right, you know?
To pick up the pieces.
They're doing it
the
right,
next
but that's what he's
educated
saying, is that they're doing so much
takes
right,
it
it's
to
gotten them in
become,
trouble.
Even in increasingly more and more legally dangerous environments, they've served and will continue to serve as a testing ground for player desire. Long before Blizzard was willing to admit it publicly, these private servers proved that there was a demand for vanilla World of Warcraft, and they proved that there's demand for the Burning Crusade, then Wrath, then Classic Plus, and next, who knows? Their influence is obvious. The conversations around old world design, slower leveling, server identity, no dungeon finder, fresh realms, and even Classic Plus didn't appear from thin air. For years, these private servers were the unofficial focus groups that Blizzard simply couldn't ignore forever. So,
Ascension probably has more than that.
To barely playable messes, to a home for those yearning for the past, and for those excited for a new and different future. The history of World of Warcraft private servers isn't clean, but it is meaningful, and it's a critically important part of the game's legacy, and it's changed its history forever.
Damn it. Thank you, MadSeason.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed today's video. See you again soon.
That was really good. See, I like MadSeason. Everyone go sub to MadSeason if you aren't already. Watch him. You know, he's got great videos about WoW, classic WoW. And now I feel like I'm caught up on the whole saga of classic servers. I feel like I'm caught up on, you know, I realize their history has been a lot of bad. The good has been fleeting. You know, it's usually there for a bit and then it's gone. But the whole time, I guarantee there was the majority of players had nothing to do with the drama. If they could, they would stay out of the legal side of things. You know? The whole time, there's probably just tons and tons of players, just like on Ascension right now, who are just trying to enjoy the game as they knew it, or enjoy a better game that they feel like they should have gotten by now after giving the company years of their life, right? I don't feel like that's that unheard of, but either way, thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate it. I feel a lot more, I don't feel great after watching this. I just like Ascension too much, and again, I'm not paid by them. I'm not sponsored by Ascension. I've only played it a couple weeks. I just hope that whatever comes next, whether it's Classic Plus, whether it's the next Ascension, whatever it's going to be, I hope it's what the players want as a majority, right? You're not going to make everyone happy. What makes that majority happy might make a ton of people unhappy. But whatever players want, give it to them. What the majority of players want. Blizzard would not exist without its players. Okay, Bobby Kotick isn't going to fund it out of his pocket. I think he left the company a while back, but I'm just saying. After watching this, I get it. All right. MadSeason, thank you for the video. Everyone else, I'll see you again later. Thanks for tuning in. Bleezy out. Peace, peace. I'll see you guys on the servers. See ya.